among his friends were people I liked, and I don't know, which, how the contact occurred. But nonetheless, we became friends at Scheimer. And I think he wasn't there very long at all. 2 semesters, maybe.
Scheimerites all knew each other in Chicago, and since hardly any of us ever graduated from there, you kind of hung out together, and that's how you'd meet other people. So he said, I met this woman, and, she's looking for a place to live, and so, he introduced us. She had also gone to Scheimer, but after I was gone, and so that's how I met my wife. Got married that day. Well, we got young. We were all young and skinny.
Remember the wedding, the details? Things like details, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I recognize it. I wouldn't have, said. I remember the shirt, which I still have, actually.
Yeah, Dick says he still has that same shirt.
Why get rid of it?
He was there when I was born. My mom tells a story that the nurse who they had, because I was born at home, we were all born at home. When my mom was having really bad back labor, her technique to help relieve the pain was to get a rolling pin. My dad was on one side of the rolling pin and Wesley was on the other side of the rolling pin, rolling it up and down her back to relieve the back, her back pain, her back labor.
Then I got my first real job, and in '73, I think, I had applied for the railroad, and a year later they said, look, you want to work? Come on. So I obviously jumped at it. It was a real job. It was good pay, actually, at the time, too. I think I made more than anybody else, any of my friends, even those who were working, had degrees. Because that's the way of the railroad. It's dangerous, and there aren't many people, and they pay them a lot. The railroad, for instance, one reason I was really bored with it was like, I'd see the same tank cars. Oh, that's GATX 20751. I just moved that from track 1, position 3, to, last week. Oh, I have it again. Just doing this. I was doing the same mindless things over and over again. Even though, again, in some cases, one particular day, there was a winter storm. We were down one person, usually a crews of 3. And this guy and I had to make up a train. And there was this was at the yard, just off the lake at the Skyway. A windstorm, a snowstorm, blinding snowstorm off the lake. We looked like icemen. But we were so efficient. We made this train up, which normally would have taken an hour and a half. We did it in maybe 25 minutes. We didn't miss a stroke. I was working on the back, he was working the front, which means I was doing internal switches. We were making up, there was a 25 track yard. So, and the guy who I didn't know before, and I became friends because it was a rapport that developed because it's like we knew what we had to do and we were doing it. And again, it was a matter of the boss would say, this is what needs to be done. And I need this. Here's the list. He watched us do it. We were done. That was it.
This was in the 1970s, which was the coldest decade of the 1900s. So all winter long, it was 20 below zero and lots of snow, and it was a bad job. So you would be beat, and you would, it was difficult. It was a lot of work.
Retirement, which is pretty smart.
But
and
I wouldn't want to do that
then
now,
my
which
dad
is
transferred
why I
out
retired from
to the same post
there.
office
But it was, when
that
you're
she
young, you can do
was
that stuff.
working
You get into
at.
shape. You do physical labor
And so at
when
one
you're young,
point,
you get into shape and you
my
can stay in
sister
shape.
did
There's a lot of
make
people that
a
come
very
into
strict no post office talk at the dinner table rule
what I see
because
the post office
my
as
parents
their
would
second
start
career,
talking
and
about the
they're 40
post
or
office and
45,
everybody they
and they're
knew.
not in shape, and suddenly you have to do this physical job, and they never get in. They get into better shape, but then everything hurts, and they got problems. I started at 6 a.m. Sometimes I started at 5:30 in the morning. I was living in East Rogers Park, and at times we only had one car, and if the family needed the car, I would just take the bus. Well, the Devon Avenue bus at 5:30 in the morning goes right straight through. But in the afternoon, you can walk faster than the Devon Avenue bus goes. It was a cut and dried job. You'd punch in the morning, you'd do your business, you'd punch out. You didn't have to worry about the place at all. You're not bringing work home. You weren't worrying about what was happening back at the office or whatever. And you see a lot of people do that. You know, they're on their BlackBerry. You know, they're on their laptop.
When they're at work, that's what they're doing. I mean, you're paying me, so I won't kill myself. But I'm going to do, what you're paying me to do, basically. Yeah, I will take breaks. Yeah. I'll make it easy for myself, but I'll do it. He had been doing it for a while. Right. And I heard an announcement, I heard that they were hiring, and I took the test. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And I got in somewhere in the upper 80s. And thought, I'll never get a job. But in 6 months, I guess it was short. They called me, and it's like, yes, a real job. I'll take it. I was probably driving cab prior to this.
I told him not to go there. You know, if he had asked me, I would have told him. But most people, if you have a family and you're responsible at all, at some time, you say to yourself, well, I need to do something that's, to uphold my responsibilities. Working at the post office, and everybody at that time always said, oh, this is the job, just a temporary job. I'm not going to stick with this. I'll go find something better to do. But, as your responsibilities grew, you stuck with it. They never paid you enough, but they paid you enough that you just didn't quit.
Just nothing but tension and animosity generally, excepting for one or two out of 40 bosses in the last 18 years, 20 years. There's one boss that everybody liked, and we did. He was respectful. He was compatible. Everybody would do anything for him. I need you to help me do it. No problem. We would do it. Again, it was because of his relationship with us. But most of them can't figure that out. That don't treat us like idiots.
Most of my career, it was 3 hours inside and 5 hours outside, and now it's more like 2 hours inside and 6 hours outside. This lack of mail and automation pre-sorts it for you, so you have bigger routes. And so there are new people that come in on a regular basis, but a lot of them quit, in short order, because they go, well, this is way too much like heavy labor, especially if they're older when they come in.
Once we had the family, we knew that we didn't want to pay rent. We wanted to have a place with a yard for gardens, which we haven't done beds yet, but we actually do have raspberries and strawberries. But
then we moved to East Rogers Park, where we lived for 14, 15 years in different places. And that neighborhood was also, it was a dense neighborhood. A lot of people lived there, but the lakefront was accessible. It was nice. We lived in a apartment that overlooked the lake. That was really terrific. We lived there for years, and it was a nice front yard, the beach and the lakefront.
On the lake, I feel like that's a very iconic of my life in Chicago. Is that apartment? It's right next to the lake. Most of our windows faced east, so it was literally right out on the sand. There was our apartment building, there was a wall, and then there was the beach. The beach was my yard. Spent all kinds of time running around on the beach. Playing in the water. We would be playing in the water with the neighborhood kids. Our parents would have to pull us out when our lips turned blue.
work was good. Yeah. Okay. It's a interview film about work and family and kids and getting on view.
What?
It's on.
Oh.
See ya. Okay. Yeah, he's 16, so he's sort of a kid. He's okay. He's good. Most of the time. Well, anyway, she didn't work and was a primary educator for most of their lives. And she's had a few short-term jobs. So I go to work and I do repairs at home. And I read. I used to read every night to them, pretty much every night. they had favorite readers, or that we would both read to them or something. Every religion has this rule that's similar to what we call the golden rule, do unto others. All religions do, all morality, all moral systems have this thing that's like, this is something, consider this. Do you want this to happen to you? No? Don't do it to somebody else. And every religion, I wish people would learn that. I mean, that is the most earnest thing in my life. Don't do shit that, that's objectionable to you. Because it's going to be objectionable to somebody else. And that is, if everybody did that, 5 days a week, things would be so much better all over. The 6th day, 7th day, okay, fine, you can take a break and go back to your asinine ways.
But he looked around and said, okay, we're going to have a family. This is what we're going to do. This is what we want to do. And so this is the job that I can take to support this family. And so then when he says, don't be a loser like me, go to school and make something of yourself, that makes me angry because I have a lot of respect for that choice, those choices that he and my mom made together when they were young and they were deciding that they wanted to have their family then. There's something about it that just feels like home. I once described it as that there's a magnet in my soul and that Chicago's the other pole of that, and so I'm always drawn back. I always see myself coming back here because this is home, and whether that's the city is part of it, but also my family is part of it. It's all kind of mixed up together. You can't really extract one.